Oh,
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Funny. I don't even know what the name of the show is, actually. This is our third episode, I think, at this point, and we still haven't named it yet. So whatever the hell this is. But yeah, this is our nice little one-on-one podcast, which we just released an episode of that, and it was me and Mike, and you guys absolutely loved it and wanted to see more of it. So here we are. My guest today is Anh-Toan, a very cool friend of mine that I've known for, golly, it's been a couple years now, right? It's been a little while. 4 years? Yeah, 4 years. Me and Anh-Toan have bonded over multiple different things, from playing certain Square Enix titles to watching SAO together, and tons of camping trips, all the fun stuff. This will actually be interesting for the viewers, because this is the first time that I am actually on camera with someone who actually lives in the same state that I do. So usually everybody else is somewhere else. So yeah. But so you guys have kind of seen how this has gone, and this Anh-Toan's no exception. We're going to kind of dive in a little bit more about Anh-Toan, what he does, what kind of drove him to get there, just his frame of mind and everything else, and then we'll have a little nice conversation after that and just kind of see where it goes. So I guess, Anh-Toan, if you want to go ahead and start a little introduction as far as kind of what you do and what led you to kind of get there, and I'll kind of just throw some questions in there as we go along.
Okay, yeah. So I do life purpose coaching, and so really what that is it's a form of life coach, and it really focuses on helping people figure out their purpose in life, something that is really meaningful for them, and then after figuring that out, helping them live that better, so more in accordance with their values and getting to their goals. Mm-hmm. So I got into this in about 2009, and it's funny because when I graduated college, the big thing was like follow your passion. And so out of college, I was probably like 5 or 6 different jobs in like 5 or 6 different industries, and so before that I was working in other jobs too. And so in total, before I started coaching, I was in 8 in the different industries. And so what happened was I got to a certain point in life where I was like, okay, wait a minute, I'm following all these passions and they're leading me so far, I get bored. And so after a year or two, I'd find something else, and then that seemed really exciting. And I did that for a year or two, and eventually got boring too. So after so much jumping around, I finally decided, okay, I got to figure out like what it is that is not only what I'm passionate about, but also is like long-term fulfilling for me. Mm-hmm. And so I went through a process. If you want to know about it, I can tell you about it later. But I went through a process to figure out what that was. And once I figured out what that was, I started doing that ever since.
Oh, okay, nice. So I guess what was more kind of the deciding factor to finally really just settle down and look for this one specific thing? So you said you were kind of getting a little lost with multiple different things popping up, which I understand. I mean, I jump on a project eagerly, and then I'm like, holy shit, like I got to throw this on top of the other like 12 things I'm doing. So yeah, what kind of got you to just really focus down?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of things. So one was that like I knew I was pretty bright, so it wasn't an issue of like I wasn't smart enough. Mm-hmm. But all my other friends were excelling in a career path, and they had stayed in one job for like multiple years, like 5 years, 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I was sort of like always jumping around in, doing multiple things. And I don't know, like there was a sense of, I was almost like tired of disappointed in coming to the end of a line with my excitement.
Okay.
It would be like playing a game, and then you get to the end of it, and it's like, wow, that sucked. Like the ending was so poor.
Right.
That's like, why did I waste all my time doing this? So you play so many games, and you keep having this terrible ending. You're like, okay, that's it. I got to stop just jumping into whatever game they're advertising that seems exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I had to kind of go through a process of, okay, I can't just go everything that seems. I had to figure this out in some sort of like, I don't know, better way. I guess more of a structured or complete way. Mm-hmm. And so then I started reading some books, and then had a lot of conversations with people, and then I did this one thing that really helped me bring clarity, and I think it's kind of like food. Like if you're snacking all day, and someone asks you what do you want to eat now, it's hard to tell, right?
Right.
Like if I've been snacking all day, hungry, and someone says, "What do you want to eat for lunch?" I'm like, I don't know, I don't really care. you know? And so what I found was that in my life, chasing these like shiny experiences, and and sometimes what happened was that I, I think in normal life, always like snacking on these little joys,
Okay.
right? Like any little distraction that could be like maybe it's a new movie, maybe it's hanging out with friends, all these little things that give enough joy that we're never truly like hungry for something, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's hard to
Yeah.
look for
And so
excitement in
one,
something that you already have in so many other things. Right.
yeah, and like little, all these little pieces, you know? So it was enough to satiate me, but it wasn't enough that it would be long term. And to a point where I did it's almost like a detox of exciting things in my life. And so I stopped hanging out with friends, stopped watching movies, stopped playing video games, um, stopped masturbating. It's just everything
Hey, fair enough, dude. Fair
that,
enough. Brings me enjoyment.
yeah, yeah, I just had to cut that out. So almost like starve myself.
Okay.
And so then after I did that for about 2 weeks, I sat down and I started meditating and I started asking myself, what is it that I'm looking for? What is that I really want? And then within like 30 minutes, I got such clarity. I was like, I just love human development. Like that's the most important thing in my life.
Hmm.
Like that's the most important thing. And then funny is that I could have realized this earlier if I just noticed my video game pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because when I play video games, the games I really enjoy the most are the ones with like complex customizations and optimizations. So like
Mm.
Final Fantasy VII, right? Like not
Okay.
only are you building new skills, but you have these different swords and different materials, and you can just like mix and match all the time,
Right. Right.
right? And you basically opt character and your character's abilities. And I would spend so much time on my favorite games doing that, to a point where I even had spreadsheets, like Elder Scrolls,
Yep.
Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, basically. I had a Excel spreadsheet on like building my skills so I can optimize my character to the point where my character was game breaking,
Mm.
you know? And so it's funny because I looked at everything, like when I came to this realization that I loved human development and empowering people, I started seeing that, wait a minute, this is why I love these games.
Mm-hmm.
These games allow me to do that and customize and optimize and build and develop in so many different creative ways is what I spend most of my time doing. And I would probably say I would even do that to a point where I'd finish the game because my character was so game breaking, there was no longer a challenge.
Fair enough. It was like your time on
So
that project was done. I've made this person the
yeah,
best they can be. Go forward and be, and I'll move on to the next. That's fair enough.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it was a constant disappointment to the end of lines and temporary satisfaction and temporary enjoyment, that I just felt like I just got so disappointed with the short term.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. Wow. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And you know what? It actually makes a lot of sense too, especially with the fact of with being a life coach and trying to point people in that forever running away right direction. Being someone who has went down multiple paths. I feel like you actually have more of a actual experience to the method versus someone who right out of college is like, I'm going to be a life coach, da 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 da. Like you've actually walked a lot of the shoes that these people are talking about, so it makes it easier to relate to, and also with the life experiences, be able to transfer that over to actual relatively good advice.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but all of it ended up helping me, to build the experience.
Sooner or later, yeah.
You know, yeah. Instead of just saying do this and do this and do this, like no, I know what it's like. I know how that could be. And since then, though, I don't. The way I did it was very much of a feel,
Mm-hmm.
like just a like building your inside. And then I've since then built a structure to help people go through it in a more of an intellectual process as well, if they prefer.
Fair enough. Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, I think a lot of people, when we look at certain things like stepping stones, for instance, I think a lot of people don't really actually pay attention to the deeper meaning and the deeper aspect of that. I think a lot of stepping stones are more of like an actual connection to each other to put you on a different path. For instance, what I do now, I sell safety supplies, right? At one point in my life, I was a sales rep, and at another point in my life, I was a safety coordinator. Both those together is what landed me the job of what I have now. And both those skills came in handy, and I had the previous knowledge from both. And I really do think that a lot of people don't. I feel like, and maybe you have a different opinion on this, and I'd be interested to hear it too. I feel like the aspect of like you should get a job, work your ass off, and stay at that job till you retire. I think it's really not that, and this is just my opinion. It's really not that good of a way to approach things anymore, personally, because you don't get more experiences. You don't learn more skills. You don't get to. I mean, it's not like I'm saying go out there and be a jackass and get fired from every job you get onto, but obviously do it the right way. But still, like, I mean, there's just so much on a horizon, and we just have so little time on this planet to just sit there. I mean, I talk to customers and they're like, "Yeah, I'm retiring." It's like, "Oh, how long you been there?" 40 years, and I'm like, fuck. Like, that sounds exhausting. Like, I sounded exhausted just thinking about retirement at that point. Like, that sounds exhausting. And I don't know, man. I've never lived on that notion. And that's how my dad was. I mean, he was an electrician from the moment he got out of school till the day he died. Hardcore, like working plant shutdowns day in, day out. I can't do it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's different. It's different for a lot of people. It's time frame too. Back in the days, you may have had maybe one of 40 jobs, right, that you could do because of location, situation, opportunity. But
Mm-hmm.
now, like people are inventing their own jobs, and
True.
so instead of 40 options now, you have like 4,000 options, right? And so like, yeah, before you could pick one thing because you had one out of 40, you had a 1 in 2.5 chance of getting it right, something like that, 1 in 40.
Right.
Now it's like 1 in 1,000. Like, are you going to really pick right on the first time? Most likely not.
Right. That's
You know,
fair.
and so I think it's a more complicated scape now, and so I think people should get experiences and learn different skills, and at some point, like what you do, like learn to connect the dot. Right, like there was a certain passion that I had in life. I just didn't really recognize what that core passion was,
Mm-hmm.
but look over when through experience and time and different situations, right? I was able to kind of see how things can connect
Mm-hmm.
and then realize, okay, this is a passion that I have, a skill that I have, and I can combine these two together to ultimately, satisfy a real value of the life that I want to live.
That
And so,
makes total sense. Makes total
yeah,
sense.
and so I think, people are, and by a certain point, like do the exploration with intention and reflection to see how it goes together so they can like narrow down that path over time and
Mm-hmm.
get to their sweet spot.
Yeah, man. It's also crazy because you also think about situations where, in my opinion, it's a little scary thinking about something like college. There's so many people who are going to college now and don't even get professions in what they even majored in, like at all. It's more about the fact of like, all right, cool, that didn't work out. Now I got to go on. I'm not saying don't go get educations because education is very fucking valuable, very valuable. But it's crazy, man. I probably know at this point in my life, I think I know more people who went to college and are not working what they majored in than I do for people who did go to college for what they majored in. 100% at this point, and it's
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy.
yeah. I think there are certain fields that really in the direction, but a lot of the other skills are just general knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But like engineering, if you go to school for engineering, you're most likely gonna get an engineering job. If you go for like medical school, you're most likely gonna become a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but outside of that, a lot of other things, uh, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of other majors end up doing other things.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So, do you think, as far as like an actual searching path, and let's use that term, a searching path? Do you think something that might have helped you understand, situations a little bit better, also comes into being in kind of like different cultures? Because what a lot of you don't know, but I do. I mean, Antoine, you've traveled to quite a different couple of different fucking places overseas and stuff like that. I mean, do you think any of that kind of helped in any kind of reflection whatsoever, just to see versus different culture from being over here to where, I mean, it's kind of funny that you brought up the fact of like being too filled up with excitement. I think America is easily looked at that way because of all the free liberties that we have versus some other countries don't have that. So do you think that that might actually kind of shine light on that as well?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, I've been to probably about 20 different countries, and the travel has opened my eyes to other values and ways to live life.
Hmm.
Because almost like no matter where you are in this country, there's this almost like this idea of some sort of American dream, right? And no matter what state you're in, it's going to be all kind of similar. Like, you know, buy a house, get married, have a car, get a job, work 40 to whatever hours a week,
Hmm.
and then like retire. Like that's kind of script. But in other countries, it's so different. Like work is not so much the center of their life. It's
Really?
just like a thing that they do. And so in this country, so much of it's like like find your passion, find your purpose, and a lot of that's related to career. For other countries, it's like, yeah, my purpose is just to be with my family and hang out
Hmm.
with my friends.
Wow.
Which is what a lot of people want to do. But I feel like there's a stigma here in this country where you just hang out with your friends and family and just like play games, like your life is incomplete. You're not doing something right,
Hmm.
you know, unless you're having some sort of career or making some sort of impact or like, you know, making money or something like that. But in other countries, like sometimes it's just so simple. It's like they just want to spend time with their family and they go to their work and they just do whatever, maybe 4 or 8 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
There's no like career ladder to try to climb. They're not trying to climb a career ladder. They're not trying to be, the CEO, or a big shot. They just want to go there, you know, do their job because they may enjoy it or it's just fun or it's something for them to do. And then the rest of the time, they spend 5 hours a day hanging out with people.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think there's a stigma. I think there's too much of a negative stigma on hobbies. I think that a lot of people see multiple different kind of hobbies out there as a waste of time. Like for instance, the easiest one to throw out there is video games, right? So we got video games, so that's had that negative stigma on it forever. Another one would be someone who is maybe practicing music, and it's like, oh, well, you should focus more on getting a real job. That's never going to happen for you. I think that we are way too quick to shut down any kind of creativity for the fear that it will stall productivity. Honestly, 100%. And I think that's a huge issue for sure. I mean, I know growing up, and as most of the viewers know at this point, because I know I've brought it up a couple times, but I've actually completed from start to finish an actual album, a rap album with my buddy Tony. Whenever I was a kid, I would write songs. I would get grounded for that shit if my dad found out about it. There was one time he found one of my
Wow.
songs that I wrote down on a piece of paper, ripped it up, and I was grounded for like a fucking month. He was like, "This is a waste of your fucking time." Went in my room, grabbed all my rap CDs, broke them, threw them away. Like I think that, and yeah, the chance of me being a rapper, if I'm not actually going to put all the time and effort to it, probably going to be pretty slim. But if I want to put all the time and effort to it, you have no idea what could happen. I mean, we have YouTube these days, all different kinds of these different streaming platforms, and people are getting big off of that. And that's completely fine. That's awesome. I mean, I'm glad to see that. But just to shut down the creativity so early on, I mean, I was probably in middle school when this stuff was happening. For sure, yeah, I was definitely in middle school when this was happening. So to shut that creativity down so quickly, because it's like, it's a waste of your time. I don't know if maybe that's just like a generational thing, and maybe like our generation is slowly going to start like changing that towards more like be passionate about what you're doing, fucking be creative. Look at all these because I think about the fact that if, me having my kid, it's going to be like one of those situations where I'm like, what do you want to do? Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you like fucking I was a da 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 da, so you got to do it. Because my dad even talked to me like that. I was an electrician. I can show you how to be an electrician, and then you could be an electrician. I was like, fuck that. Like easily, I was like, that's not what I want to do at all. Like just not. And I'm so far away from that. And I'm not gonna lie, he showed me things, and it's made me smarter, absolutely. But I didn't have to waste too much time going down a path that I didn't want to go. And I think that a lot of people spend a lot of time doing that, and it's great to have people like yourself who are able to just be like, I've done it, man. Let me fucking tell you a smarter way to look at this so you can probably get to a path that you're at least going to be happy about. If not, be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we may have lost the you could have been the fan.
And it's funny that you say that because that's the CDs he broke. Was all my Eminem CDs. Yep, I had like 5 albums, man. He snapped every single one of those motherfuckers and threw them away. Every single one. Yep, I loved Eminem,
Yeah.
dude, growing up, big
Yeah.
time. Yep.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think you're right. There's this idea of productivity I think it was previously in the generation before, for sure. Like they always focus on like be productive, this product aspect. For productivity does not always mean fulfillment in life.
No.
And I think that the world now is changing so much now that if you have a passion, there's a way to probably make money off of it. And that may not have existed,
Right.
20 years ago.
Well, and it's actually funny because I mean, thinking about that, isn't that like, because Japan's pretty high on just nothing but productivity. Like that's basically their life is work, and their suicide rates are like through the roof, aren't they? Yeah. So I mean, that right there is
Yeah.
almost like a clear fucking picture of like without fulfillment in life, it's like some people just don't know what to fucking do anymore, and that's a sad realization to come to. And man, that's nuts. And it sucks too because it seems like just human beings are just so complex. Like you think that like you would just know what you want, and it's not even close. I mean, growing up, I wanted to be a fucking firefighter for the longest. Then I wanted to be a Marine, and then I wanted to do this. Then I wanted to do that. Now I'm on fucking YouTube. Like it changes so rapidly. And I mean, this still could not be the end of the road for me. I could 2 years from now be like, fucking Dead Funny is a waste of my time. Easily could happen. You never know. It's so crazy, dude. I don't know, man. I think, I mean, personally, for my aspect, I mean, one of the reasons why I do YouTube and I still do is just it's really for me it's the fan interaction. I like being able to have conversations. Like there's plenty of times where I stream now and people that watch me on Dead Funny will come hang out. And that's so fucking cool. Like just to be able to have conversations and be like, oh, I was watching the last podcast and you were talking about this and I wanted to tell you what my thoughts on that were. Cool, sweet, let's have that conversation. Like being able to do that. And then the comments that I get, like, you guys have been so fucking supportive. It's crazy. Like, you easily the reason why I still do this 100%, man. It's crazy. And I just think that it's such a special thing to me that I was able to find that. And whether or not that's still the driving factor on why I do what I do, it could obviously easily be up for debate. But it's one of those things where it's like, I can't even imagine trying to think about all these other situations as far as, like, what I do for a living now or what I used to do. And then trying to find that same spark, you know what I mean? Just to make that like, oh yeah, I definitely want this to be my career. It's nuts.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I think you have a great personality for this. And I think there's a love of this that you have. And, even when you're working, 40 hours a week, you spend another 20 hours a week,
Yeah.
doing your videos and stuff. It's like, that takes some serious passion, man.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. That's pretty.
Yeah, I can't imagine, like, especially with someone in your shoes, that's got to be, I mean, obviously, it is what it is, but I mean, just trying to, because I mean, from what I know from you, you're a guy that pretty much wants to do what you can to help other people out the best that you can, and obviously in your line of profession, the best thing you're going to have is advice, which is great, but just I got to think that's got to be daunting, like you got to want them to be able to get there and knowing that people themselves normally don't even know what they want versus you trying to help them figure that out, man. That's got to be rough.
I mean, it was probably early on.
Yeah.
And like all things that you do, you get better and better. And then at a certain point, you basically becomes a system.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can help people out faster and easier, right? And so,
Okay.
like I would probably say, people figure out what they want. When I first started, the first probably 5 years, I used all these different tools. There's so many different tools out there. They all have a different approach. Yeah, and then it was probably around year 6 and 7, I started really seeing like there's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what I need to do for people, and it was a combination of a video I watched and this book I read, and those two became like the main pillars for me to help people figure out what they want. And a quick synopsis, it's just basically the intersection of these three pieces. The intersection of like your passion, the intersection with your skills and your strength. So because you have a passion, like, there's a lot of different passions, but like I was passionate about basketball, but I'm 5'5". Like this is not something I should spend 40 hours a week on.
That's fair.
So you gotta take a look at your passions, and then you take a look at your skills and your strengths. So what am I good at? And so for me, like when I look at what I'm good at, optimization, I'm good at like understanding problems, I'm good at figuring out solutions, I'm good with people, right? And then the last intersection is like, what am I bad? Okay, so I can be good at this, I'm passionate about this. Does this also satisfy my values?
Right.
Things that are really important to me in my life. One of my biggest values in my life is freedom. But yeah, I could work for another company, and do coaching, and so it would satisfy my passion and satisfy my skill set,
Mm-hmm.
right, and my strength. But I was living my values of freedom, and so that's why I decided like, no, I got to start my own practice because I want to have my freedom to do it the way I want to do it, where I want to do it.
That's fair.
And so it's the intersection of those three that I basically help people figure out now, and it's almost like a science for the most part. And 90% of the people I work with, we can figure it out within like 3 or 4 meetings.
Oh, nice. Wow, that's a pretty
So it's
good
not that
conversion
hard.
rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I gotta think that obviously the success aspect of it is something that's going to be an easy driver as far as moving forward with it too. Like knowing that you've done what you could to help change somebody's life. I gotta think that's pretty high up there. I mean, I've had
Yeah.
people who've told me like, "Look, man, I was having a fucking horrible goddamn day, and the content you make literally changed my day." And it's like that alone. It's like, fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely. I'm here for you. I mean, I used to say all the time where it's like when me and Tony were first doing the rap album. And I was like, dude, I don't care if we put this on YouTube and we have one person that's just like, dude, I jam your shit every day. I'm going to keep making songs for that one fucking person, dude. 100% going to keep making songs. But yeah, no, man, that's yeah, wow. So did the idea of moving towards your own private practice like ever kind of scare you a little bit or shake you a little bit, because I mean I gotta think, because you used to work with a firm back whenever we first met, and then to go to a private practice, I gotta think it's gotta be nerves.
Yeah. So what had happened was, hold on, let me think about this. Figure out a starting point on this. So my company had lost two major clients, and that was a total of maybe 50% of their business.
Mm.
And so they let go anywhere between a third and a half of their coaches. So I got let go. And so at that time, I started interviewing for a school that actually started doing coaching, and so so I started going through this process. But one of the primary decisions that I came to, two big realizations that I came to. One was I defined my success. Like, what does success mean to me?
Mm.
And I defined my success as living what I believe, right? And so that became my definition of success. And so one of the beliefs that I have, a very, very strong belief that I have, is that everyone's motivated by two main factors, love and fear. These are always your two main factors, or motivations.
Mm-hmm.
And I had decided that I want to live my life motivated by the things I love and not because I'm afraid of anything.
Okay.
And so because of that, like when the decision, basically as I was interviewing for this other school that I was going to work for, doing coaching for them, I started like looking at it like, why would I do that? And I would do that because it was a safe option. I'd get a regular paycheck and get my benefits and blah, 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 and all these things. But what would I be giving up? And I'd be giving up some of this freedom of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be there on location, working regular hours. And I was like, okay, is that really what I want? And when I looked at what I really want, is that, no, I want my total freedom. Like, I want 100% freedom. And I want to do things the way I want to do it. So that's really what I want. And that's where my passion lies. And that's the love motivation. And so I sort of knew I had to do it. Like, there's no other option. Because the way I define success is that death, like making it or dying, I'm going to walk this path. And even in making that decision, there was fear. Like, okay, well, what if I don't make it, right? Like, what are the consequences of that? And am I okay, with those consequences,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, basically, when the fear wants to like creep in, the fear is like, well, what if I, don't have a job and have to like move back in with my parents, or what if I, I'm like 40 and I don't have like reasonable work, or I have this gap in my resume or whatever that would be. And I had to basically say, am I okay with that?
Mm.
Like, am I okay with this? And the moment I basically said, I'm okay with it, like this is worth it, I'm okay with it, then I was able to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's also
Yeah.
kind of funny because you brought up, like the one moving back in with the parents to the gap. It's like there's so many things that I kind of brought up earlier that I feel that are just programmed within us to try to steer us more towards, okay, you know what? Yeah, I am creative and passionate about this, but I need the productivity in order to continue to keep having a job or to continue to keep paying bills or to, not have a gap. So that way it's not looked on for in a future reasons. So that way in case this doesn't work out, then yeah, I just think there's so many more things that stacked against us to make us look at certain aspects like that in a negative light versus, trying to go forward and achieve it. It's just crazy to think that society is at a point where like we're just, man, that's nuts. That's nuts. Because I can't imagine, like, there's plenty of times where we kind of did a podcast just to kind of talk about COVID-19 when it first came out, and stuff that we were doing, because Kelsey and myself, we were both luckily enough able to work from home, and kind of like, how do you stay busy? And it's like I told people, I was like, YouTube might not be for you, Twitch might not be for you, but if you're doing it, or if you even had a thought about doing it, just fucking go for it. Like, now has never been a better time. And I still think that with a lot of us in lockdown, now has never been a better time than to try for anything that you have passion wise. Like, if you're avoiding people because you're scared of the virus, I'm not going to down you. Go fucking do whatever you want to do at this point that you can to try to go for something. Like, whether, even if it's just to pick it up as a hobby. Like, I can't think of a situation in my life where I've ever had someone who just kind of looked at me and was like, fucking go for it, or fucking go for this, or fucking go for that. And it sucks to know that and think that, like, having kids or something like that, that I would be the same way. I can't imagine talking to anybody and just like, there's plenty of people that jump in my streams like, I thought about streaming, but it just seems too intimidating. It's like, do it. Just fucking do it. Like, you thought about it, just try it out. What's the worst case scenario? I try to look at certain situations like, the Dead Funny podcast, for instance, like let's say Dead Funny goes nowhere, and it's like, and if I was to look back on episodes and I look back on it, it's like, I got an hour I got to hang out with Anh-Toan and fucking talk about what he does. Like, there's no loss to be had, like there really isn't. And I just think that there's so much negativity out there with these aspects where like people are way more intimidated to do anything versus stepping outside the norm, and it's crazy to me.
Yeah. And it's really interesting you mentioned that, because so many people are so worried about what other people will think or what other people will say. Mm-hmm. It's like all these external factors, that and it's environmental, social, that puts all this like pressure on people. And it's like, you got to just break out of that prison. You got to just like cut that off. Mm-hmm. You got to live from an internal point of like, this is what I want and this is what I want to do. And it may, you may only have one person who's interested. But you learn from the process.
Yeah,
right? You
absolutely.
have fun in the process, right? And if there's anything that I think would help people kind of take that step, to do some of these things that they're passionate about, is to take on the mindset that you're going to learn from it, right? Be okay with allowing yourself to learn.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of turned me a little bit more into the team leader that I am now for Dead Funny, because I've gotten more to this aspect where I tell my team, hey, I don't expect anybody to be part of Dead Funny forever. I really don't. People come and go. Creative differences happen. I am a perfect fucking product of that. I was part of Dark Star for years, and then I wanted to make my own thing because we had creative differences. I wanted a podcast. At that time, they didn't want one. I wanted to do this. They didn't want to do that. And to be fair, it's the vision of their channel. They saw it clearly. Awesome. I can't argue with that. And they're obviously doing very well. It's fucking awesome. And I still appear on content from time to time. It's great. Have a good time. But I wanted more. So I chose what I did to do in order to get that. And I tell people all the time on my team, like, I don't expect you to stay here. But if you're going to be here, like, let's even just put a year on it, and you don't learn anything, I did not do my job as the leader of this channel. Even if it's like, Chris, I want to learn how to edit, or Chris, I want to run and see what it's like to host a show, or I want to plan a show or something like that. Like, we have once a year where we have people just throw in ideas of shows that they want to do, shows they want to see. I'm like, I tell everybody the same thing. Like, for instance, Kelsey's a great example of this, the DFU. That was all her show. She literally gave me an idea, and I said, all I want to do is sit down and make sure it fits the vision of Dead Funny. If it fits the vision of Dead Funny, that's it. I'm not trying to take your show away, nothing. She runs it. She used to not to. Now at this point, she runs it, schedules it, figures all this shit out, content and everything. She edits it, and she records it. She's never done any of this before.
Wow.
So it's like, if she was to leave Dead Funny tomorrow, at least if she wanted to go do something more as far as entertainment, online entertainment goes, I've at least given her the tools to do the basic aspect of it. And that I can feel happy about. To where it's like, if people show up and they're just here and they're just going to be another body on a podcast, it's like, what are you getting out of it? Like, I'm not going to say leave because I don't want you to leave. That's awesome that you're here. But what are you getting out of it? What can I do to help you achieve something? Something. I don't expect people to have the same passion that I do for Dead Funny because I am a partner. I am a founder. Like, this is my baby. But if I can give you a show and then you take full control of that, full ownership of that, and then you get a piece of the pie like that, that's more of what I'm excited for people to do versus just, I'm just going to show up and be on the podcast. It's like, all right, that's what you want to do, but I really wish you would look for more within here because there's tons to do. I mean, I'm more than happy to be like, all right, cool, we'll set up. I mean, for Kelsey, she literally was like, Chris, I'm partner. I want to learn how to edit. All right, cool. Let's say next month we're going to take one Saturday, an hour each Saturday, and just do a crash course on editing. See how it goes. And she's been editing ever since. Done. Like, I am more than happy to do that with anybody. And it's just like, I hope that this is like how our generation is going to be, just trying to push stuff forward of like, fucking, if you can't get there, but you know what it is, tell me. And if I can help you, awesome, great. Like, I don't like the aspect of, there's so many people who are like, they get in these jobs and they work them and they went to school for them and they had their whole life planned out. And that just sounds so boring. And I think sooner or later they realize that, and then they have issues way later on down in life, but they're so stuck in these ways that it's like, what's the point in changing that up? I have a house, I have bills, I have this, I have that, I'm making good money. Why change it? And I think that's a very dangerous way to live, honestly. If you don't like what you do, that's a very dangerous way to live. Yeah. Which is funny because it plays on that little motto of, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I call bullshit on that. I 100% call bullshit. You can love what you do. It's still work at some point. Like, whatever. I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn it, dude. I've got like 3 videos I have to edit someday. It's still work. I love what I do, but it's still work.
You know, that's so funny that you bring that up, because that's the reality, is that people think, they hear these sayings and they think that's like, they don't have the right idea that, that is still work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love what I do. Like, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. Am I ever going to retire? Hopefully not. But if I can't help people in the right ways, then it's probably best I shut myself down.
Probably.
Yeah. But for me, like, it's still work. I still get tired. Like, it's fulfilling and it's exciting, but it's still work, and there's still stuff I don't like doing that I still do, like admin work and taking notes and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still work. It's just the work that ultimately all comes together to something that you're passionate about. But not every single moment is exciting. And I think people have the wrong idea that if it's not exciting all the time, then something must be wrong. It's like, no, like, life is not 24/7 exciting. Even the people who are on these videos, and they're talking about how, like, exciting everything is, there's times it's not like that. And sometimes people need to, like, have the right expectations about what it means to have a passion for what you do and what it's really like.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, just because you love something, you still got to put the work in to make it work. So, yeah. That's completely fair. I understand that. I definitely understand that. Yeah.
And you brought something else too, like you helping all these people, like Kelsey and her learning new skills. And for me, it's a mindset, to have a learning mindset, I think allows people to overcome a lot of, like, social pressures, or whatever. Things in their head. And it reminds me of a saying that I hear that I sort of live by now, which is this saying that it's, I never lose. I either win or I learn.
There you go.
Yeah. And for me, like, that's sort of like one of the mottos I live in my life. Like, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And so therefore I always get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever you look at certain situations where it's like a negative aspect, for instance, I'll actually use a personal experience myself. I was working for a company, and I loved working for the company. I was a sales rep, and this was the job that I had previous to this one. So, Anh-Toan, you know what I'm talking about, but they don't, because I don't like to name companies or anything on here. I actually got fired. 100% got completely fired. It was a personal grudge firing, 100%. I made enemies in places that I shouldn't have. And at the time, I never thought those enemies would be above me. And then there was a huge change in the company, and that person ended up being my boss. And it wasn't about a week after that promotion, I was gone. So it sucked. I've never been fired before. And I was in a situation where, another person depended on me. And it was a really bad situation. And it was I didn't really know how to cope with it at first. I didn't know how to handle it. But it just goes to show, I interviewed at like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different places. I was also doing, stuff like DoorDash and stuff like that for, in the means to make sure I still had income coming in. And I had interviewed at a couple places, and I was only, I want to say, like, actually fired and not working for probably like a week. I was not actually working an actual job besides an outside contractor for probably a month and a half. And I had applied to a couple places, and someone reached out to me and kind of helped me connect those dots of like, you did this, you'd be perfect for this, right? And I just feel like, yeah, it sucks being fired. I felt really shitty sitting down at that interview and then be like, oh, so what happened here? And having to explain that. And especially whenever it's situations like a social situation, like how I kind of brought up with mine versus, just me being like, oh, I was lazy, or, oh, I fucking just whatever I did. Right. But there's such a negative aspect on that for something that turned out to be so positive for me. I don't really want to like throw numbers out there, but I was definitely working a job that was paying me minimum wage for sure, which is whatever it is, but I was not bringing in anywhere near the amount of money that I should have been bringing in. I was working basically my start job, I was making these kind of wages almost, to where I didn't go to college. Most of my viewers know that at this point. I got a GED. I didn't finish high school. And I'm now working a job where I'm making money that I only thought you could make by going and getting that education and then moving forward into that. So not everything is negative. It sucked. I hated the experience of that. I didn't like the fact that someone thought that the best course with me was to fire me. I never thought that I would ever be in that position. And it just goes to show that, like, a door gets closed, it doesn't mean it's over. There's so many opportunities, like you said. I mean, we went from 40 to 4,000. Like, there's so many opportunities to be had out there that, I'm not saying go out there and do what you can to get fired from every single job hoping that something's going to open up for you. But I mean, I think so many people get caught in their head about this negative aspect of being let go or being fired, thinking like, fuck, I really fucked up. Because I'm not going to lie, my first couple of weeks at this new job, especially with the fact that I'm a sales rep, like, that need to compete and having to perform and show that you can do the job like any other job is a little bit harder for certain sales reps. Absolutely. Because people say like, yeah, you were born to be a sales rep, but it's like, all right, cool. Tell me what that means. You can't. Like, you're either a sales rep or you're not. And a sales rep can sit here and bullshit them all day long, but I can tell you as a good sales rep, I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't know what that is. I look at my papers the same way everybody else does, my emails, and go, this is what I need to get done so I can fucking make money. And then I do it. Like, that's what that is. There's no gene. There's no X factor. It's just you are or you aren't. And just people just have a natural talent to excel in certain places, and that's fine. But I just think that so many people get caught in their head about these negative situations, and it really impacted me at this new job. For the first month I was working there, I was like, I was making sure that I could do everything I could, ask even more questions than I normally would, so I would look like I was trying to do everything I could to stay, because I was worried about getting kicked out the fucking door. And now that I look back at it, I'm like, man, dude, I really hate that I let something that took a total of 10 minutes of my life affect me for as long as it did. That was like 3 months that I let 10 minutes of my life affect me. And it's like, I wish I could have just noticed that in the moment, like, versus letting me go through all that. Because it sucked going to work and worrying about getting fired every single day for a month straight. That was fucking nerve-wracking. I hated it. And it kind of closed me off and made me kind of get in my own way. And then we started doing these tests and these boot camps. And I had, luckily, great managers that come to me are like, dude, you're fucking awesome. Like, you're good. Like, seriously, you're awesome. And then I started achieving stuff even though I felt that I wasn't going to achieve it. Like, for instance, my state that I live in, I was like, if I get that state, like, that's the biggest state. Everybody loves that state. I'm not going to get that. There's no way I'm going to beat out the other 5 people I'm testing for. And not only did I get the state, but before I got it, it was actually split between 2 reps because our state's west to east. So it was one rep had the west side, one rep had the east side. They gave me both. Like that was like holy shit. Like I need to really take a look at myself because here I am thinking I'm like not good enough, and I'm being shown time and time again that I am. So I think it's really important to try to be able to get yourself out of that mindset when something negative does happen, something negative does come along. Because yeah, at the end of the day, I look at it, and I think a real big clarity for me is that the person that let me go, I actually just recently saw in a grocery store, probably like 2 maybe 3 weeks ago. So I've been at this new company now for over a year. About 2 to 3 weeks ago, I saw this person, and it's the first time I've seen this person since then. And they looked at me, and they were still working on a weekend. Here I am, weekends free, and they just had like this just constant panic in their eye of like what they were doing, what they were working on, da 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 da, and it just made me remember that whenever I was in those shoes, and I was just like, wow, man, like that sucks. It sucks. Like this person has now made this their career at this point. Like they are really hardcore going for this, and that's great for them. Hopefully they achieve whatever. But I just had so much anger towards that one person for those 10 minutes, and it was like in that moment I was just like, I'm doing better. And not only am I doing better, I'm not saying I'm doing better than that person. I'm doing better than I personally was doing whenever I was at that job. That I should be happy for. Like there's just no point in all this negative energy I was holding inside of me for no reason over 10 minutes. And it really just hit me in the face. It was like a realization, like I really let that 10 minutes fucking affect me that much. And it was crazy. It's insane how much you don't actually understand, like really fucking plays with you inside your mind. It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest prison that people live in is the prison of their mind. You know, and learning how to get out of that is such a useful like skill and tool. And you have this experience now, like like when shit happens, you can get better.
Right.
And for me, that's always been one of the things that I always pride myself on. Is like when shit happens, I'll get better. I always level up in the face of like a setback.
Right.
Yeah, and you build that story. You have experiences like that over and over again, and you sort of know that no matter what happens, you'll be good. And that's nice to kind of have like in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it really goes to show that your drive is going to carry you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, I could have sat there. I mean, I had so many people tell me like, "Oh man, you got fired. That sucks, man. Why don't you just take like a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month, just kind of figure yourself out what you want to do?" And I was just like, I was so determined that. And that was another thing that I did wrong too. I was like, 48 hours, I'm going to have me a job offer. And that was terrible. Like, because in 48 hours, I didn't have a job offer. And then I even was more down and more down and more down. And I was like, I just kept making bad moves left and right over that one instant of 10 minutes. Just like threw me off my game. Like, I mean, I don't try to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm a pretty fucking confident person. And that 10 minutes shook the shit out of me. And it was just like, wow, it made me realize like, you really can get knocked completely out of your game and be completely out of zone over something that you had no idea was even going to happen. Just out of nowhere, just bam, done. I mean, I still never forget that day of just getting a call in the morning and be like, hey, I need you to come to the office before you go do your route. All right, cool. And I went to the office and then bam, boom. Yeah, we're getting ready. You're done. Gone. And I was like, yeah, no idea. Yep, 10 minutes. Just changed my life completely. Done. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess kind of my advice on that one to anybody that's watching is I mean, it's like Antoine kind of pointed out earlier. There's always something to learn, and I completely agree with that. There's always something to learn, and situations when something goes negative. I mean, there are going to be people who go out of their way to do certain situations, and that sucks. It sucks that those people are like that. There's nothing you can do about it. But I mean, it's like I said, whenever I saw this guy in person, and I was just so fucking mad. It really made me realize like certain situations of saying like, oh, I'm doing better, made me think of, oh, I'm not doing better than him. I'm doing better than what I was doing, and that's what I should be happy about. Like the value of that alone just totally changed my whole perspective. And now I literally don't even give a shit anymore. I'm just like, if I was to see him again, I'd be like, hey, what's going on, man? And then just keep moving on. Like, wouldn't even care. But I was just like, oh, if I ever see this guy again, I'm going to fucking tell him off. He gets in my face. We might have to fight. I don't know. Like, just talking yourself up in such a negative way and having all these emotions and all this hatred, in my opinion, which is such a strong word, but just this hatred just for the situation. And at the end of the day, it's like, I literally, it's not even worth my energy. It's now I'm at a situation where I learned what I learned. And then I moved on from there, and now because of those skills, I'm excelling in a job that not only do I feel appreciated at, but I actually feel like I'm flourishing and I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. So fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing it for now.
Yeah.
Not gonna say I'm gonna make it a career because who knows? You know, like it's like you said, we got stepping stones, man. We got stepping stones. It's all about the experience and the chance to learn. And if that turns into something for me down the road, awesome. If it doesn't, it is what it is. Fucking on to the next stone. On to the next stone. Hopefully retirement. Who knows?
I don't know if I could ever see you retiring, man. Even
I
if you
would
retired, you would still
I would be able
you would
to
still
do.
doing videos and stuff, dude.
I would still
You
be
would just
doing
stream it and
videos,
talking to
man.
everybody, and yeah,
Absolutely. Be like, oh, you're retired? It's like, yeah, I'm retired. It's like, then why are you fucking editing shit? It's like, because if I don't do it, no one else will. It needs to go out. It's hard to let go on certain aspects, man. Like even like you know, I'm better at it now, but I mean, even Kelsey uploads the DFU and everything on her own, and there's times where I'll be like, oh shit, I didn't do the DFU. Never mind. I don't have to do that. Kelsey's got it under control. She's got it. Like, and it was actually funny the other day. We actually had a mishap where she accidentally made a mistake and she released a video at midnight versus 7 a.m. Our videos released at 7 a.m. and it's not like it's set in stone. I mean, we've never had like an actual like this is the most prime time to do it. I just think like 7 a.m. people are going to work. Some people like to listen to podcasts and stuff on their way to work. Let's try to shoot for that. So I podcast on Monday, start of the day, start of the week. Let's get it going. And I texted her. I was like, "Hey, did you mean to release that at midnight? Because we were talking about the video." She's like, "Oh no, I didn't. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Man, I don't care." In my opinion, I've gotten to the point where I was like, I literally said, I was like, I didn't know if you were trying some new strategy or you were thinking something I wasn't thinking. I was just like, I was gonna let you do it. It's your show, you know. So and it feels good to have that openness, knowing that like at the end of the day, she's got to take care of. I don't have to worry. I don't have to babysit her. She's got to take care of. And I just think that if we can have a more open mindset like that with the majority of the people, I just think that would be so much better. But I mean, like I said, there's also that aspect of negative people. I think that was like the best advice I ever got from my grandfather was that you're only going to be as good as the people you surround yourself with. If your friends want to do nothing but drink beer on the porch and sit around smoking and cat calling and everything else, you're going to think that's fun. You're going to think that's cool because you want to be part of the group. But you get that one friend who's going out and traveling places, who's going out and spending a lot of money on expensive dinners and taking very beautiful women out and going out and doing these things, and they're having to pay for you and you feel bad about it. Sooner or later you're going to be like, well, fuck, dude, I want to do what he's doing. How do I get to that? And that changed my fucking perspective from a young, I was want to say I was like 12 when I got told that, because I definitely hung out with the wrong crowd a lot of times. And it just made me change up. And the friends that I have now is why I hold them so dear. I mean, Joey, for instance, a lot of you have met Joey on the podcast and stuff like that. Dude has literally, he's younger than me. I think I said Joey's like 23, 24, something like that. He's owned 3 houses already. It's fucking insane. Fucking insane. The dude is just a hard fucking worker. And it's crazy. The work ethic he has, I mean, he was running his own pawn shop by the time he was like 17. That's crazy. And now he's a fucking cell phone pusher at Verizon, like, because the commissions are high. Like, he's always about, like, let's see what I can do to better what I made last year, better what I made last month. He's always talking numbers. Like, he's sick right now. He's texting us yesterday. He's like really, really sick. And he's like, fucking sucks, dude. I was like $5,000 away from doing better than I did last month. Like, to have that energy, man, is just fucking intoxicating. And it makes me want to be the same way. And it's just like, yeah, it was just such good information. So I do think that it is good to do what you can to bring people up. I also do think that you have to be at least mindful of yourself at some point, because you could really fall into a rut if you're not focusing on yourself as well.
Yep, absolutely. Great advice. Similar to like Jim Rohn, he says you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. And I think people, you can't pick your family, but you can definitely pick your company that you spend your time with.
Absolutely.
And I think it's not always easy to do, but I think it's something worth investing your time into surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
With, people you want to be like.
Absolutely, completely agree. I mean, with the whole family aspect, I mean, some of you know this story and some of you don't, but I mean, I moved all the way across the country to get away from mine. If you want to look at it that way, and I mean, my family was hardcore drug addiction, hardcore. I mean, family dinners were you show up and it's like, oh, you know what vacation did you guys go on this year? It was like, oh, you know, who's in prison today? Yeah, that was the normal conversation at my family's table, and it was like, that's not what I wanted, man. Just not what I wanted. I learned that very early on, and then my grandpa gave me that advice, and I was like, sweet. And I just started looking for people, like meet new people. Da 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 da. Oh, what is it you do? And it's like, you know what? I think I might want to try that out. All right, cool. You're gonna start sticking a little bit closer to me, and I'm gonna try to start learning some shit from you. And I just started building my circle like that, man. I mean, most of the people that I know are just they might not all be like successful, but they're all driven in the stuff that they want to do, and that helps me understand what that's like and what they go through. Like Tony, dude's fucking hardcore driven about YouTube, and I want to do YouTube. Hardcore driven. He puts out way more content than I do. Way more. I mean, there's times where I'm talking to him, he's like, yeah, hold on, dude, I'll be on and I'll play with you in a little bit. I got to upload these 9 videos. I'm like, I don't even release 9 videos in a fucking week, much less a day. Like, holy shit, you know? So it's just being able to really understand the differences in that. I think is very valuable. Very, very valuable. Oh, man. That's nuts. Well, we're getting close to our wrap-up time here, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But before we do that, Anh-Toan, do you have any positive things or any kind of advice you want to give for either one, people who are possibly looking to do personally what it is you do, looking for a job in that kind of field, or, you know, I think an even better way to say this would be, there are so many people out there that I think look for ways to possibly lift people up or give them advice in their life. Someone somewhere has had a friend that's been on some down times. Do you have anything you would like to leave with the viewers before we wrap up here, as far as, you know, like I said, someone looking for a job in your career, or just, you know, just normal ways to even be more of an active listener and understand situations?
Wow. Yeah. So you can actually get a job doing something similar to what I do now. Like coaching has really made a lot of strides in the last 5 years. And so if you can start with a company, like, great, you know, start with a company. No, I started with a company. I worked there 7 years, you know, 40 hours a week, coaching thousands of people. The experience itself it's like, there's nothing that teaches better than experience, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can start with a company, start with a company. If not, there are always ways to impact people. And when I started my own personal practice, one of the tools I used was I actually used Reddit. And I'd go on Reddit and I would just give people lots of advice.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I went on Reddit and gave people advice. And then, you know, here's the thing. This is what I believe. How do I phrase this? The world will meet you halfway. So if you have a skill or a passion that you want to utilize,
mm-hmm.
you have to do your part to get halfway, and then the world will meet you the rest of the way. So you can't just like think about it, and you can't just, you know, like plan about it. You got to actually do something to put yourself out there, because if you go halfway, the world will meet you the rest of the way. And so I did that by on Reddit, because I had all this time now. You know, like, I didn't have any clients yet, so I had all this time, and so I went on Reddit and I would just chat with a lot of people and give a lot of people advice. And then I created a system where if they wanted to schedule an appointment with me, they click on a link and schedule some of my time. Right? So I had to make myself available. I have to put myself out there. And then when you set up systems to put yourself out there, and so people can contact you, you know, over time, people will see what you do and see your skills and see that you could give great advice, and they'll start coming to you.
There you go. It's fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap on that note. I think that was a very good advice right there at the end. If you enjoyed this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, once again, this is a new show that we're still trying out. Most of you have been very open with how much you like the show in the comments. Continue to do that, because that's what kind of drives us to be like, okay, cool, this is something we need to pursue. Also, make sure you hit us in the comment section below if you have any questions for me or for Anh-Toan. I'll definitely let him know. Also, if he has any socials or anything like that he wants to dump into the description below, I will add those whenever this video goes to go up. So that way, if you want to try to find Anh-Toan, you have a chance to do that. If he doesn't have anything up and you have any questions, you can always let me know, and then I can let him know as well, and we'll go from there as well. But at the end of all this, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Anh-Toan, thank you so much. It's been awesome Had a lot of fun and learned a lot of new stuff about you personally. I didn't even know the Reddit thing. That kind of blew my mind. That's pretty awesome, honestly. But seriously, thank you so much for being on the show. And yeah, guys, like I said, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.